Welcome back to the Morning Blend. Our next guest is a whiz when it comes to understanding the brains of kids. She says she has the secret to raising smart and confident kids, and she has a grade-by-grade guide to help parents do that.
Patricia Wilkinson hopes her advice will empower you to raise well-adjusted and happy adults. She co-wrote the book called Brain Stages: How to Raise Smart, Confident Kids and Have Fun Doing It. Today, Patricia joins us on the yellow couch, so welcome. Hi.
Hi.
Great to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. This is an incredible book. There's so many great things in here that touch on the development of kids from a young age all the way through. A couple we were just talking about. But talk a little bit about the book and the inspiration to write it.
Well, I had wanted to write a grade-by-grade guide because I've taught all the grades. I taught for 23 years and public and private school, and I actually came home. We raised two twice exceptional kids. So we have two gifted kids, which means they catch on to things quickly and they're a little kooky in a lot of other ways.
A good person to write the book then.
Right.
Yeah.
And then one had been diagnosed with anxiety and the other one with ADHD. So we kind of had our hands full a little bit. So I came home when the oldest hit high school and started writing for parenting magazines. And my husband said, you know, how many teachers have taught all the grades? You really need to, you know, write a guide. Wouldn't you have loved to have had this guide? And I said, absolutely. And Jackie had done a whole bunch of research, you know, brain research and just all kinds of research. She was a learning expert, college professor, and a publisher called me out of the blue from Colorado and said, you know, hey, let's put these two ideas together. So we ended up coming up with this book, and Jackie ended up passing away before the book came out.
Well, and I know her dying wish, you said, was to get the latest in brain research out for parents, for their caregivers, and to do this grade by grade. So, you know, congratulations on completing the book. It must have been difficult to lose the co-author, but we're really excited that you're sharing the research with us. And I want to hit a few things that we teased because I think it's fascinating. First, the surprising reason your third grader tunes you out. I think there's so many times that kids tune you out.
It's true, and actually it's all kids until they're about 11 years old. They do not process negative feedback.
Really?
So on an MRI machine, when the scientists, it was a Dutch study, and when the scientists and hundreds of kids were going through and asking these questions and giving commands and negative commands, nothing was lighting up on the MRI machine.
Can you use an example so people understand?
For example, if you say, don't run in the street. How many times have we talked about running in the street? And then what the kids are kind of really hearing is run in the street. So little kids especially will just go flying off the curb. Whereas if you say, stop at the curb, then they have a directive that's a positive directive that their brains can actually process. Or instead of don't do that. How many times have we talked about that? If you say to them, okay, what are you supposed to do now? Or, okay, you started with this, what comes next? And you ask them a question, then it kicks the frontal and parietal lobes into gear so that they can actually process.
And allows them to contribute feedback, so they're actually part of the solution, right? If you ask the question, now should you have done that and why shouldn't you? That's a big part of it. You touched on something very interesting that I don't know if this is kind of a tangent, but when it comes to youth sports, right? When coaches are yelling and screaming at kids on football field, whatever it might be, it's so easy for young kids to no longer have a passion for the game because they're not feeling like they're evolving in the right way. I can see how that kind of feedback could apply to many parts of life.
And here's the thing, professional coaches will usually tell whoever they're coaching that they need to think in positive terms, whether it's, you know, managing a golf swing or a football coach. They tell them how to do it instead of, you know, and they say to them, don't ever say to, you know, don't say don't to yourself.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because your brain processes whatever comes after the don't better than it processes the negative command.
Okay, interesting.
Why is it that you say first graders need lots of exercise and that they're actually too young, this is going to shock people, to be diagnosed with ADHD?
Because what happens is the neural pathways are still solidifying. So what makes us who we are, we're born with a, you know, bazillion, I don't know, that's not the right number, but we're born with a ton of neurons. And what makes us who we are is our experiences kind of whittle away, almost like you would think of a big rock as a statue and the sculptor sculpts away at it. That's kind of how we become who we are in our brains. And so what happens with first graders is they're wiggly anyway. And what can seem like ADHD because they're just wiggly all the time and they're not paying attention, and a lot of times that's just maturity. So to put them on a psychotropic drug before they're 7 or 8 years old is really not a good plan, because they may mature out of it. Their neural pathways may get into better synchronization or whatever.
Sure. You touch on 4 great things here. 4 essentials for a healthy brain for children. Sleep is huge, and we're getting ready to go back to school, so prepare for the transition of getting a good night's sleep. Water, we don't get enough water, which we just talked about is so important.
Wake up dehydrated.
Right.
And if kids just there have been studies done that if you do nothing else but kids get a drink of water in the morning and they work out for like 10 minutes in the morning, because people don't think to do that. But if you set a YouTube on or whatever and people say, but it's so hectic in the morning, 10 minutes doesn't make much of a difference. And if they get a drink of water and they work out for 10 minutes in the morning, it makes all the difference as far as how well they think and perform in school.
The exercise, and you also had on there nutrition, and I want to, because we teased it, the best form, real quick, best form of praise that builds confidence and self-esteem in kids.
Oh my gosh. So I wish I had known this. I learned it the hard way. So my kids, we used to say, oh, you're so smart all the time, because, they're smart.
Yeah.
The problem that comes in when the first time they hit a rough patch, then they want to quit, because there's this thing in their head that says,
true.
well, maybe I'm not that smart.
Right.
Right? And it turns out, and so intelligent kids very often shut down when they have any kind of trouble.
Or a bad grade or something. So
Sure.
what is the best form of praise?
So what you do is you praise them for specific things. And it's just like flattery. So you praise, I really like how you hung in with that. You finished that whole project and you were having a problem. I wondered how you were going to deal with that.
I like that.
Kind of thing.
Excellent.
So if you praise them for specific, wow, that was so creative, that idea that you came up with.
I love it.
If
Very
you praise them for
specific
specific things.
and very in the moment. I love that. Your book is fantastic. You can go to thebrainstages.com to find out more about this wonderful book. And congratulations on having it published and that coming to reality.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been really exciting.
Yeah, appreciate your time.